Now, who should be held accountable for the 180 lives lost to listeriosis? Why does the BLF equate the current debacle with premeditated murder? Why is the Food and Allied Workers Union now raising concerns about the health of their members working at affected factories? And what can be done to minimize the impact of listeriosis on small business owners? What time is it? It's question time. Khotong, Mraro, Gurula, and welcome to the show. My name is Mport Sedu. The source of the listeriosis outbreak has been traced. Releasing an official statement on the outbreak on Sunday, Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Mtsoaledi said, and I quote, "In our constant search for the source of the outbreak and the treatment of people who are affected, a team from the NICD has interviewed 109 ill people to obtain details about the foods they had eaten in the month before falling ill. 93 reported eating ready-to-eat processed meat products, of which polony was the most common, followed by Viennas and sausages and then other cold meats," close quote. The outbreak has been traced to Enterprise Foods in Polokwane, another facility in Germiston, as well as a Rainbow Chicken facility in the Free State. For his part, the CEO of Tiger Brands, Lawrence McDougall, says the company has not been provided with any evidence to show there is a direct link between the 180 listeriosis deaths and the firm's products. While those earning a living by selling kota are already feeling the pinch, BLF has laid criminal charges against Enterprise Foods and Rainbow Chicken. We are live. If you can call us, and you've used the numbers to dial 0891104210, our international number +27 8911042110. Twitter your comments. Our Twitter handle is @questiontime24. And a reminder that you can also stream us on our Facebook page, SABC News Online, and our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/SABC Digital News. My guest today, Katish Masamula, is the General Secretary of the Food and Allied Workers Union, FAU, and Andile Mkutama is the leader of the Black First, Land First. Let me welcome both of you, gentlemen. Perhaps before I come to you, Andile, let me just check with Katish. You have workers who are working in these factories, and I would suppose they are your members. Is it not worrisome that instead of worrying about the outbreak, you are more concerned about the workers?
Well, it would be worrisome if we exclusively worried about the workers. We are worried that it is alleged that 181 people have died as a result to this outbreak, and it is for the company. Well, let me start by saying it's for the health authorities to provide irrefutable evidence to that effect, and for the company to be held accountable if found to be responsible. Let me just indicate that for our members, they cannot be faulted for the outbreak. It is management that must carry the shoulder because they are responsible to manage the business. So inevitably we have to be concerned about those workers working in those factories, because it means their risk, exposure to the health risk is quite high, even if they were not to eat those products directly, but working on packaging them.
So have you had any engagement with management of this identified companies?
Yeah, there's a pending meeting tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
We hope that we'll get more information from management, and we would ask difficult questions.
Now, Andile, you then laid charges against Enterprise and is it Rainbow Chicken? Let's get to understand what is the basis of your I don't know whether they are called allegations, I guess now, until the court decides otherwise.
The charges.
Yeah.
Yes. There are two charges that we laid against Rainbow Chicken, as to say, and also Enterprise, and their parent organizations, Tiger Brand. On the other hand, the major shareholder, Remgro, owned by Johan Rupert. Now, there are two charges we laid, one of murder in relationship to the 180 or 81 people who died as a result of eating this processed food, and the over 1,000 people who survived. That charge we called for attempted murder. Okay. It is shocking that Enterprise Food had known 18 days before Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi had come out in public to confirm that there is listeriosis in these companies' factories. 18 days they knew, they recalled their products, they continue to make money, because we believe, if you go back, in fact, you will see that they have been testing and they have been finding evidence of this bug, but they have not been recalling their foods, because white monopoly capital, our big enemy as Black First, Land First, in this country acts with complete impunity. They know that they cannot be held accountable. That is why we felt as a movement that this time around we're not going to let them go scot-free. We are going to open charges, let the police investigate, and we are not going to listen to the Tiger Brands CEO denying a direct link. When the minister says the research, scientific research shows this. In fact, a lot of doctors who have done this research have said it is not just listeriosis they found in that factory. Yes. It's even more other bugs. And this Tiger Brands can speak with confidence because they know they control the media, they control politicians, and we believe as BLF that they even have influence in the judiciary, so they can do this and they will not be held accountable. We're saying no, it should not happen. We're even calling for compensation for those who survived, and for those who families that lost a member. We say let them get 5 million rand. And then we will talk, I'm sure, about small scale farmers abating some quota in the township. It means that those whose livelihood is dependent on the quota today are in trouble. And our government again, it's not coming out and saying to pay compensation, force the company to pay compensation. We are shocked as BLF. Parliament, the Portfolio Committee of Health is not making big noise, calling on the CEOs of these companies to come before it to account for this. We're talking about 181 deaths in this country, which could have been prevented because of negligence. Not so negligence, we believe it is greed. And they knew what they were doing. But profits for this white monopoly capital is more important than our lives.
The number to dial is 089-110-4210, and let's hear what your thoughts are regarding this particular matter. Are you a victim? Do you know of victims? And how do you think this affects your diet? Because honestly speaking, healthy diets are very costly, and I'm not by any chance trying to promote that we eat low quality food or anything of that sort, but to really find yourself following a reasonably healthy diet, you really need to dig deep into your pocket. So how is this going to affect even kids going to school and all that? I differ with the BLF on a number of things and approaches, but I think they've got a point. Somebody has to be held responsible here. And if South Africa is going to start, or not even start, but perpetuate this notion of no consequences in instances of tragedies of this nature, then I think we are not going to go far as a people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you that should it be found that irrefutable evidence that indeed some people are responsible for this, are on the wrong side of the law, the law must take its course. I don't think we can disagree with that assertion. All that we're saying is that this management must cooperate with health authorities, and in fact health authorities must move with speed to conclude its investigations to the point of being irrefutable.
Horopo, you are in a talk. Horopo?
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes. I just want to comment about this issue. I can see Comrade Tabish is there.
Yes.
But I had a problem with the boy who are with there, Mukitama. Mukitama, there's no one who can listen to him in this country. That boy is a Gupta-linked company. There's nothing that you can tell us in this country. He's a political camouflage and he's a tricky person in this country. So there's nothing we can listen to that boy. We can listen to this about the issue of that illness that is spread in this country, but not Mukitama. No one can listen to that boy there. We can only listen to that issue. That's all.
But don't you think they have a point that somebody must be held responsible, or you just don't want to listen because it's the BLF?
That boy is not, he doesn't care about Mukitama. The problem with that boy, this matter is still under Senator Aronimus Aledi. This matter is still under SABC. This matter is still under Consumer Protection Act. So I don't know what this boy is looking for there. We don't want to listen to political camouflage like the Mukitama in our country. This boy was linked into Gupta. They were telling him that they were linked to Gupta companies. So now the person was assaulted there in the house because of him. So now he's coming here to tell us that he will protect what. We don't want to listen to this boy. We are sick and tired of this boy in this country.
Okay, but then Koropo, there in a talk, well, Andile, you would have to answer for yourself. Then.
No, we have a fight with white monopoly capital, and some of our people are not happy with this, including the old Baba I respect, and he keeps on calling me a boy. That's not a problem. We are saying as BLF, even moving forward, it is not true, by the way, that it is so expensive to get healthy food. The problem is that we are landless in this country, and those who produce food don't care for our health. We're saying if we resolve the issue of land, give us land, provide support, and produce organically, you will not have this kind. You know, in South Africa, we're suffering from cancer, we're suffering from diabetes, we're suffering from all these things, and this is direct consequence of what we eat. And what is eat is produced by white monopoly capital companies who don't care for our interests, but they care for profits. So that is where our focus is at. And we are saying to government, take action. Do not allow white monopoly capital to get away with it. 181 people dead, and it's unnecessary death. That's what the focus should be at.
So is there enough evidence? Well, the companies are saying, well, you can't point fingers at us as yet. Nothing says.
Dr. Motwaledi, scientists say the source of the outbreak is at these following factories. What more do you need? What more evidence do we need? What we should not do is to listen to these companies, CEOs, who are basically benefiting from producing these poisonous bugs. In South Africa, we are saying as BLF, shut down the enterprise foods manufacturing companies, because they're not producing food, they are producing poison. Why not? When scientists have said to us, the sources are specifically from these following places. I would have expected by now that Parliament will be up in arms to say to these companies, come and account for what you have done. I would have expected early the new Minister of Police to be raiding the houses of these chief executive officers and saying people have died as a consequence of your refusal to take care of basic standards. Look at the Consumer Act. The Protection of Consumers Act. It's absolutely clear about who is held accountable when such tragedies happen. And in this instance, it is Rainbow Chicken, it is Enterprise Food, and their parent companies.
And I dare add what you would want us to know, who owns them.
Of course, I mean, Rainbow Chicken, we know that there is a Johan Rupert there in a big way.
Okay, let's go to Mboti. Mboti, welcome.
How are you, sir?
I'm well, thanks for the call.
All right, thanks, man. I think your guest today from BLF, that guy is confused. Oh. Because now we are sitting here listening to him, he's contradicting himself. He said judiciary is compromised, but at the same time, he's losing complaint to the very same judiciary. What is he trying to tell the audience?
No, it is true, and we are testing it further. We are presenting it with solid facts, including the Judicial Commission of Inquiry. By the way, that's something that would have helped a lot, because we see Judge Zondo has got a very clear mandate, and we believe that he would have operated outside of the general way judiciary operates. I mean, just take one example. The public protector says APSA must pay back the money, as all evidence shows that APSA should have paid that money stolen from the people. The judiciary says no, APSA should not pay this money. Yes, it is true, the judiciary does not help us, but that does not mean we should not use the police to hold accountable those that are murdering our people for profits. I don't see any contradictions. We are exposing further the judiciary for failing to do what it's supposed to do.
One aspect that followed this was the recall of products. I'm not so sure if you have followed that aspect, because I'm trying to imagine that whereas people are returning all these products or whatever they had bought, how does it help to curb the spread of this particular disease when you have some outlets in Bizana today? Somebody was saying, look, I'm at store X, they've in fact reduced the price so that people can consume this disease in numbers.
Yeah, this is what we call illicit trade and illicit retailing. By those who take advantage of the situation, undercut the prices, and basically make these products available in volumes, yet they're a risk to South Africans. But like somebody said, the poor in this country are sometimes having little choice, in fact no choice at all, between survival and death. So they rather take chances than, starve.
But now, if these companies are capable of producing these products of theirs that carry this disease, how safe are the workers themselves?
Yeah, that's the point I was raising earlier, that we are also concerned about the safety of our members and workers in these factories. In fact, one of the things we are going to raise is that the cost to the company, workers must undergo clinical screening to see if they were not exposed to this particular disease.
Yeah, I mean, they have the disease at half price. Because they buy on Fridays, they get a preferred price, and they take as much as they can. And I mean, I wouldn't want to believe that indeed they are safe, workers are safe in any way, because I was listening to one of our radio stations, SAFM, and Tsepiso Makwetla was talking to one former health inspector there who says, if you knew what goes on in these factories, you actually wouldn't eat anything that comes out of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, the point is that there are health, hygiene and other authorities that are supposed to quality assure what goes into the processing of food and the outcome thereof. So the capacity within government ought to be increased. The policing by these authorities, Bureau of Standards, would have to be increased so that we get to eat better quality food. And I know Andile may be right that for the poor, at the point you raised earlier, healthy diet can become very expensive.
Unless you have learned.
Malus, you are in Polokwane. Welcome.
Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
We are well. Thanks for the call.
Yes. No, basically, I just want to raise a comment. I believe that we are a very disturbed society, because we've got already 180 something odd people that have passed away on this. But what I hear on the comments are people that are busy attacking the PLF leader. I mean, what value does that one add? Because at the end of the day, we as a society, we're supposed to come together and face the challenge that we are facing, because we don't want more deaths.
Melusi, thank you very much for that point. I think he is indeed making a good point. And I mean, if this had happened as a direct fault of government, we would have heard another Americana, another Esidimeni, you know.
Shut down, call back. You know, like now, brother Katisha says that somebody, or you're saying somebody was buying polonium today. The point is, these big corporations, no, they can do it with no consequences. We should be arresting them. Anybody who has today or even yesterday any of these polonies or these processed foods on their shelves, they should be arrested, because we know these things kill people. But they know they will get scot-free because we end up fighting amongst ourselves instead of focusing on the real problem. I am real shocked, as I keep on saying. Why didn't the minister call for criminal liability? Why the minister did not call even for economic sanctioning for this? Why did the minister call for shutting down of all of these companies, manufacturing entities? Because we know that's where this come from. We don't have that conversation. And I want to argue, this is only because this is white companies. If it was a black company, we would know who owns it, where they stay, where they live, what they eat. But because it's white capital, again, we are shying away from calling them criminal, from calling them murderers. Murder, in our view, has happened. When you sell poison, knowing that it is poison, what is your intention? It is, of course, to kill me, because all you care for is profits. That's why I want also the unions to be much stronger on this question.
Percy and Fryhead, welcome.
Hi there, sir. How are you?
I'm well, thanks for the call.
Awesome. Good evening to the viewers also. I just wanted to make a plain comment on something, because I'm also from the food industry and stuff. And I actually think on part of the people that you are speaking to, you should have had maybe somebody that had a bit of background in the food industries and stuff. I mean, when the minister was talking, he highlighted that, also the CEO of Enterprise, he highlighted that it's a normal thing to have listeriosis in meat products. Actually, it's a foodborne disease, so sometimes it's always there. The only thing that we have to hold Enterprise accountable is that if maybe the listeria has been there like for quite a while, you know, if they've actually detected it for a while, like for example, if they detected the listeria in January, February, March, like on ongoing months, if it happened that way, then it's been a big problem. Because now, mind you, if that continues to happen, then they're going to have to halt production in a way, so that they can sort out the problem in a way. So that's just my comment, actually.
Thanks very much, Percy. The paradox here, Andile, is that it is our people, black people in the majority, who are going to suffer. It is them who are not going to be able to come up with immediate alternatives for Skaftin.
Absolutely. No, but I mean, you know, that's what I was hoping for. I mean, Dr. Motsoaledi and government, I think, are being irresponsible, and are not leaving our people with any options. I would have expected them to say, we as government, we expect this a national crisis. We're providing resources, financial resources for alternatives, at least for the next 2 months until our people recover and they can go back to getting alternative scaftings. That did not happen. As I said to you, even small-scale businesses have been left to suffer. It shows a government, in my view, which does not really care. And the cost of that must be borne by these companies who, I believe, for many years have been doing this and getting away with it. Only this time that we have this massive explosion of deaths, that we have a crisis in our hand. Apparently, the UN says it is the biggest explosion but still our country, our parliament, our politicians, our leaders, our media, it is not running with this as a problem. And how do you explain it? Except to say, this is because white capital is directly involved. Therefore, there must be a different attitude.
You see, you're going to have by default a deindustrialization consequence, because the neighboring countries are also stopping to import the products coming from this factories. So there is a shutdown of these two factories, depending on how quick the problem is resolved. If it takes months, possibilities of workers losing their jobs is also there. The survival, or the possibility of continued survival by the small traders, the quota traders will wane away, and in that way we're going to have consequences.
Well, we have run out of time, unfortunately, but I'm sure the country has not run out of time to really resolve this matter. That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. Hot.
An in-depth look of all your stories of the day across the world. Stay tuned to Primetime News every day from 18 hours. Our stories.
How do I begin?
Our lives. When all seems to fail, we will raise our voices a bit louder for our justice.
I went into absolute shock. My whole body was shaky. I couldn't hold a phone, but there he was. I couldn't believe the nonchalant that they were still in the area 2 weeks later.
And in times when the justice system is not able to help us with our individual battles,
I'm willing to do anything. What I'm helping, it's one of them. Really be more. What are you doing? Nothing. Feeling sorry for yourself. No, there's no option.
These are stories on Cutting Edge Channel 404. SABCnews.com is your one-stop digital portal to all the news you need. With a website that is easy to use on mobile, SABC News prides itself in being the primary source of public service content across multiple platforms. Watch live streams of all the big news events on the SABC News YouTube channel, which is one of the most viewed